Chapter 1: The Kiss That Broke the Internet. The glass facade of Blackwell Tower shimmered in the early afternoon sun, tall enough to scrape the clouds and intimidating enough to make Archie Vance swallow hard as he stepped through the revolving doors. The lobby inside was a polished expanse of marble and chrome. Too clean, too expensive, too quiet. Everything echoed, from the tap of heels to the soft chime of elevators, and Archie immediately felt like a walking mess among perfectly curated people. He glanced down at himself. Oversized cream sweater, black skinny jeans that had been through more coffee spills than he cared to admit, and scuffed white sneakers that were definitely not corporate appropriate. His brown hair was doing its usual chaotic swoop like it had been styled by a confused wind spirit. The messenger bag at his hip bulged with mock-ups and color samples. Totally professional, he told himself with a grimace. Still, this meeting could be huge. If Blackwell Innovations liked his designs, he could get consistent freelance work. Maybe even health insurance. Maybe, wild thought, he could finally stop living off instant ramen and hope. He crossed the lobby, weaving around suits and heels, trying not to gawk at the digital posters showcasing Blackwell's new product line. And then, because the universe loved drama, one of the screens flashed with a promotional photo of Colin Blackwell himself. Archie slowed, stared, maybe drooled a little. Sharp jaw, dark eyes, perfect cheekbones, tall, immaculate, an expression so cold and distant it could frost glass. Archie whispered under his breath, "Okay, but why does he look like he's about to fire me even though we've never met?" Then, more quietly, "Unreachable ice god, party of one." He forced himself away from the screen and went searching for the right elevator. And naturally, he got lost. He circled the same corridor twice, muttered apologies after bumping into an intern, and nearly walked into the utility closet thinking it was a service lift. By the time he finally found the receptionist to drop off his portfolio, he was winded and muttering at himself like a gremlin. "Just leave the portfolio, Archie. Don't embarrass yourself. Too late, you already did." He handed it over with a shaky smile. The receptionist thanked him. He turned, bolted for the exit, and promised himself boba as a reward for surviving the corporate underworld. He wasn't expecting screaming outside. Not normal screaming. Camera flashes, crowd chaos, shouted questions ricocheting across the sidewalk. Archie hesitated at the entrance, blinking against the lights. Reporters were gathered in a thick semicircle. In the center of the storm was him, Colin Blackwell, very much in the flesh, looking devastatingly powerful in a charcoal suit that fit his tall frame like sin. Beside him stood a glamorous woman in her late 30s, dressed in a designer skirt suit, her diamond ring catching the light. Archie's brain connected the dots just as the reporters did. Rumored affair. Married business partner. Colin's jaw was tight. Her expression was cracking. The reporters descended like vultures. "Mr. Blackwell, care to comment? Are the rumors true? Is your relationship with Mrs. Hartfield professional or personal?" Colin's eyes flicked to the side only once, scanning the crowd, and Archie realized he was edging closer and closer without meaning to. He was trying to slip past, to go home, but the bodies pressed together forced him nearer. And then, a reporter yelled, "Are you destroying her marriage for your own gain?" The woman beside Colin flinched. Something fierce flashed through Colin's eyes, and then they locked onto Archie. Archie froze. "Why is he looking at me? Why?" Colin broke away from the reporters. His long strides cut through the crowd effortlessly, like the sea parting for a very annoyed, very sexy Moses. Before Archie could step back, Colin reached him, close enough that Archie could feel the heat radiating from his perfectly controlled frame. A hand fisted into Archie's sweater, firm but not painful. Archie squeaked. Hi?" Colin's low, smooth voice brushed his ear. "Sorry." "For what?" He didn't have time to ask. Colin pulled him forward and kissed him. Archie's brain blanked. Warm lips, firm pressure, a clean, crisp scent, mint, cedar, something expensive. His fingers grabbed the nearest thing, which happened to be Colin's suit jacket, clutching it like a lifeline. Colin's other hand slid to the back of Archie's neck, steady, commanding, undeniably intimate. Their mouths moved together, not soft, not tentative, but purposeful. Like Colin had done this 1,000 times. Like Archie was the only anchor in a storm. Archie's breath hitched, his eyes fluttered. Every coherent thought melted into heat, pooling low in his stomach. And then, slowly, too slowly, Colin pulled back. Reporters dropped into stunned silence for half a heartbeat, then click, 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 click. Flash after flash, a wave of shocked murmurs. Colin didn't look fazed. His forehead nearly touched Archie's. His breath grazed Archie's cheek when he murmured, "Just go with it." Archie could only nod like a malfunctioning bobblehead. Colin took his wrist, warm, strong, and guided him through the crowd, reporters shouting behind them, "Is this your fiancé?" "Mr. Blackwell, who is he? Since when have you been engaged?" Archie stumbled alongside him, dizzy, lips tingling, brain fried. Colin pulled him into the lobby, past security, to a private elevator that slid open instantly. He ushered Archie inside and stepped in after him. The doors closed. Silence. Archie stared at Colin. Colin straightened his suit like nothing happened. Archie's voice cracked into the quiet. "Did you just, in front of, why me? What is happening?" His words tripped over each other, pitching higher at every syllable. Colin raised one eyebrow, calm as a glacier. "Would you prefer I'd chosen someone else?" "Yes. No. I mean, what? Why did you kiss me?" Colin adjusted his tie. "Damage control." "That was not." Archie gestured wildly. "Damage control. That was like a full Netflix drama." Colin finally looked at him, truly looked. His dark eyes traced the panic, the flushed cheeks, the way Archie kept wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, like the kiss had burned there. Archie caught the look and felt his face go even hotter. The elevator's mirrored walls reflected everything. Colin, tall and composed. Archie, smaller, trembling, lips unmistakably swollen. Their breathing overlapped in the small space. Colin's aftershave lingered thick and warm in the air. Archie could almost feel the imprint of Colin's hold on his waist, even though the hand wasn't there anymore. The elevator dinged softly. Colin stepped out first. Archie followed on unsteady legs into a glossy executive corridor lined with glass offices and minimalist decor. Before Archie could gather his thoughts, 2 PR staff members sprinted toward them. "Sir, we have a situation," one panted. "You don't say," Archie muttered. They herded them into a conference room. A massive wall screen already displayed a dozen headlines updating live. Blackwell's secret fiancé? Who is the mystery man? Power CEO kisses unknown partner to shut down affair rumors. Breaking, Blackwell engaged in secret for years? Archie's jaw dropped. Fiancé? I don't even know his favorite color. One of the PR assistants winced in sympathy. The PR director, a woman with sharp glasses and sharper stress levels, pointed at the screen. "The internet thinks you're Colin's hidden long-term partner. They're calling it a surprise engagement reveal." Archie made a strangled noise. Colin stared at the screen, expression unreadable but calculating. "So they're no longer accusing me of having an affair?" "They're saying the kiss proves your loyalty to your fiancé," she clarified. Archie's soul left his body. I'm not. We're not." Colin turned toward him, eyes narrowing with a dangerous, decisive calm. Archie felt his stomach flip for a completely different reason. The PR director folded her arms. "We can lean into this narrative. It diverts the scandal. Just a temporary engagement storyline. A few weeks." "A few weeks," Archie squeaked. "It would be mutually beneficial." Colin said simply, "I'll compensate you. Handsomely." "That's not the point." Archie pointed between them with frantic gestures. "We don't know each other. You kissed me in public, with your face." "You have a very kissable face," Colin said absently, already turning to the PR director. Archie choked. "What? We'll need a backstory," the PR director continued briskly. "How you met, how long you've been together." "I delivered a portfolio," Archie shouted. "We've been together for -7 minutes." Colin finally faced him fully, and for the first time since the kiss, his expression softened, just enough to show something real beneath the ice. "Archie," he said, voice low, "this can protect both of us, and I promise, nothing will happen without your consent." Archie swallowed. The room felt smaller. His heart hammered so loudly he was sure the PR assistants heard it. "But," Archie shook his head, "I'm just no one. You don't even know me." "I know enough," Colin replied quietly. "You handled that moment with more grace than most people would have." "That was not grace," Archie whispered. "That was survival." A beat of silence. Then Colin stepped closer across the polished floor, stopping only inches away. Archie felt it immediately, the same gravity that had pulled him into that kiss. It stole his breath again. Colin's voice dropped to something absolute, unshakable. "You're my fiancé now, until I say otherwise." Archie's shout echoed through the conference room. "What?" Chapter 2. The fake fiancé contract and the bed situation. Colin's office looked like something out of a luxury magazine spread. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a polished black desk with not a paper out of place, and an atmosphere so still it bordered on intimidating. Archie sat stiffly on one of the leather chairs, his messenger bag awkwardly drooping at his feet, hands clasped in his lap like he might bolt at any second. Across from him sat three people, two lawyers in immaculate suits and one senior PR strategist with a calm, rehearsed smile. And beside Archie, far too close for sanity, sat Colin Blackwell. Unbothered, unreadable, long legs crossed elegantly, pen in hand as he reviewed a stack of documents. "We'll begin with the contractual terms," one of the lawyers said, sliding a neatly bound document toward Archie. Archie picked it up with trembling fingers. He hadn't held this much money and legal jargon in his entire life. The title read, Temporary Engagement Agreement. His brain short-circuited. This is real. This is actually happening. The lawyer began listing the terms. Duration, 4 weeks, potentially extended if public reaction requires it. Compensation, a lump sum plus a monthly retainer. Non-disclosure agreement applies for 36 months after termination. Archie's eyes flickered through paragraphs. Public appearance obligations. Required time spent together. Joint outings. Coordinated statements. A strict clause about no expectation of physical intimacy. His face flamed at that one. He risked a glance at Colin, who was calmly tapping his pen, the barest upward twitch at the corner of his mouth, as if he knew exactly which line Archie had paused on. "Is everything clear?" the lawyer asked. Archie cleared his throat. Mostly. Just what's this part about freelance rates?" "That would be the design contract," the PR strategist said smoothly. "Mr. Blackwell is prepared to offer you continued work on upcoming branding and campaign materials." Archie blinked. "Continued work? Like steady work?" "Provided both sides are satisfied," Colin added, voice low, smooth. Archie's heart stuttered. This wasn't just compensation. This was a door. A real future. A chance to breathe financially for the first time in years. His fingers tightened on the contract, but he still forced himself to swallow the wobble in his voice. "I want better rates." The lawyers paused. Colin looked up, interest flickering in his dark eyes. Archie pressed on, surprising even himself. "Blackwell Innovations is kind of huge, and I'm not signing a fake engagement contract just to get underpaid doing 40 hours of design work a week." A beat of silence. Then Colin's lips curved minutely. Approval, admiration, something warm and sharp. "Increase his rates by 30%, he said to the legal team without looking away from Archie. The lawyer blinked. 30, 40, Archie blurted before he could stop himself. Colin's gaze sharpened. Archie swallowed. Too much. I pushed too hard. "All right," Colin said. Archie almost fell out of his chair. "And," Archie added softly, I have debt. Student loans. Medical bills from last year." His cheeks burned. "Can the lump sum help with that?" Colin didn't hesitate. "It will cover them." Archie blinked several times to keep tears from threatening. Embarrassing. But the relief that seeped into his chest was unsteady, warm, almost painful in its intensity. He hated himself a little for needing this. Hated that this arrangement was humiliating and yet life-changing at the same time. He hated that Colin Blackwell, of all people, was the one offering him a way out. But he still nodded shakily. "Okay, I'll sign." Colin's eyes softened. Barely, but enough that Archie felt it like heat along his spine. The PR conference room was a different kind of battlefield, covered in mood boards, stock photos of romantic couples, and printed screenshots of tabloid headlines. Archie sat at one end of the table, feeling like a kid who wandered into a marketing war room. The PR coach, a bright woman in pastel pink, clapped her hands. "All right, to sell this relationship to the public, we'll need chemistry." Archie coughed on his own spit. What?" "Yes," she said, sliding a folder across to him. "Public chemistry. That means holding hands naturally, comfortable physical closeness, soft interactions, eye contact, shared private smiles." Archie's ears burned. "I don't smile privately. I barely smile publicly." "Oh, you'll learn," she said cheerfully. "Next, you two will be living together." Archie's soul left his body. "I'm sorry. What?" "It's necessary," she insisted. "The public will expect sightings. People talk, neighbors gossip, photos leak." Archie stared at Colin as if praying for sanity. "You're not seriously agreeing to this." "Of course," Colin said calmly. "Logistics are simpler this way." Archie shot to his feet. "Do you even know where I live? I have 3 roommates and a kitchen the size of a shoebox." "Another reason it's simpler," Colin said, utterly unfazed. "You're asking me to live in your billionaire penthouse. You say that like it's a hardship. It is. I don't even know how to use those fridges that have digital screens. Colin's eyes narrowed. Do you need training for a refrigerator? You know what? Never mind. Archie flailed a hand at the mood boards. Let's focus on the soft interactions, which, by the way, I'm terrible at. Colin's jaw flexed, something like amusement flickering through. We'll practice. Archie sat back down, face in his hands. He couldn't believe his life. The penthouse was absurd. Archie stood at the entrance, shoes sinking into a carpet so soft it felt illegal. Light flooded through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Everything was black, white, chrome, or marble. The city skyline stretched beneath them like a living painting. Archie whispered, I feel like I'm trespassing in a luxury museum. Colin handed his coat to the housekeeper, who smiled warmly at Archie. Welcome, Mr. Vance. Archie flinched. Mr. Vance. God help him. They started the tour. The kitchen had more appliances than Archie knew names for. The living room looked like a celebrity photo shoot set. The study smelled like cedar, paper, and money. The guest room is currently under renovation, the housekeeper explained. Plaster dust everywhere. The bed hasn't been reassembled yet. Archie blinked. So where exactly am I sleeping? Colin hesitated. For the first time since Archie met him, he looked genuinely caught off guard. We'll share the master bedroom, he said, voice controlled but a shade lower. Just temporarily. Archie made a dying whale noise. No. We'll manage, Colin repeated firmly. Archie wasn't sure if he wanted to faint or run. Evening settled into a warm gold glow when Archie made the mistake of entering the master bedroom without knocking. He swung the door open and stopped dead. Colin stood by the dresser, shirt off, undoing the cufflinks of his discarded suit jacket. Bare skin, lean muscle, sculpted shoulders, a faint scar along his left rib. Not bulky, just perfectly, unfairly toned. A body honed by early morning workouts and designer athletic wear. Archie's brain fried. Oh, no. His eyes lingered too long. His face burned. Colin turned slowly, one brow raised. Do you need something? Sorry, I thought the room was empty. Archie backed up into the doorframe. Colin's voice was maddeningly calm. You'll need to be less shy if we're meant to be engaged. Archie's voice pitched embarrassingly high. Well, maybe you should knock on your own apps. Colin's lips twitched like he was suppressing a smile. I'll keep that in mind. Archie fled. Later, the PR coach appeared on video call, chirpily oblivious to Archie's messy mental state. The living room became their practice stage. Colin sat beside Archie on the couch, the warmth of his thigh radiating like a silent threat. The PR coach clapped. Lovely. Now, let's practice natural affection. Colin lifted Archie's hand without warning and placed it on his chest, just over his steady heartbeat. Archie jolted. The warmth, the firm muscle beneath his palm, the faint rise and fall of Colin's breathing, it all made his mind short-circuit. Relax, Colin said softly. I am relaxed, Archie whispered. Extremely not relaxed. Colin guided his hand lower to demonstrate casual familiarity. Archie's fingers brushed just under the hem of Colin's shirt, grazing warm skin above his waistband. Colin inhaled sharply. It was soft, just a hitch, but Archie felt it like a spark shooting straight through his spine. The PR coach chirped, perfect. Archie felt like he was dying. Next, a natural hug. Before Archie could decide how to naturally hug someone like Colin, his body panicked, moved too fast, and crashed into Colin's chest with full force. Colin caught him, one arm around his back, steadying him so he didn't fall into his lap. Their chests pressed together. Their breaths mingled. Archie squeaked. That was a hug. It was an attack, Colin murmured. Night fell. After a shower and nervous pacing, Archie found himself standing on the side of Colin's enormous bed. He swallowed hard. Colin lay on the left side, reading. Calm. Perfect. Unaffected. Archie climbed in cautiously, keeping exactly 23 inches of distance. You can move closer, Colin said without looking up. The camera footage won't capture our sleeping positions, but it would be less awkward. I'm fine, Archie insisted, scooting half an inch further away. It was silent for several minutes. Then Colin said in his smooth, unreadable tone, You may use half the closet space. Archie blinked. Half, really? Yes, and don't touch my work laptop. I wasn't planning to. Good. Archie hesitated. Do you always go to sleep this early? Colin's gaze shifted to him, not usually. Archie nodded. Do you always read before bed? Yes. Do you ever do small talk? Colin's lips almost curved. Never. But after a moment he asked, Do you have siblings? Archie blinked. Yeah, one sister. She's a nurse. He paused. Do you? Colin stared at him. No. They talked, quietly, softly, about small things. Family, work, favorite food. Childhood memories. Hobbies. Colin surprised him with how much he listened. Focused, attentive, almost gentle. Then, sometime after midnight, their legs brushed beneath the covers. Archie froze. Colin didn't move away. Heat pooled low in Archie's stomach. Minutes later, something shifted behind him. Colin, in sleep or half-sleep, slid an arm around Archie's waist. Archie sucked in a quiet breath. Colin pulled him closer, chest against Archie's back, warm and firm and unbelievably comforting. Archie lay awake, trembling. He slowly tried to turn around. Colin's arm tightened. Archie faced him, their faces inches apart. Colin's breath brushed his cheek, warm, steady, intoxicating. His lashes lowered slightly, as if stirring from sleep. Colin's eyes opened. They stared at each other in the dark, the air thick and electric. Their lips were so close. Colin's voice dropped, low, gravelly, uttered directly against Archie's mouth. "If you keep looking at me like that," he murmured, "I won't be able to stop." Archie's heart slammed painfully. He turned back around, face blazing. Colin didn't pull his arm away. Archie eventually drifted into sleep, held securely, warmly, undeniably by a man who wasn't supposed to matter at all, but already did. Chapter 3. We have to look convincing, right? Early evening sunlight streamed into the penthouse dressing area, turning the mirrored walls into sheets of soft gold. Archie stood in front of one of them, fiddling with the cuffs of the tailored jacket Colin had picked out. It was a dusty blue-gray, warmer than Colin's usual cold palette, and it made Archie's eyes look bright and alive. Even he couldn't deny it. Colin approached with a small assortment of ties draped over one arm. "This one," he said, choosing a pale silver tie that contrasted gently against the suit. Archie grinned. "So you do have taste beyond black and navy." Colin didn't rise to the tease. Instead, he stepped closer, closer still, and lifted the tie around Archie's neck with practiced precision. His fingers brushed the hollow of Archie's throat as he adjusted the knot, slow and deliberate. The touch was barely there, but it sent a spark straight through Archie's chest. His breath caught. Colin paused at the reaction, his gaze flicking upward. Their eyes met in the mirror. Archie tried to play it cool, failed spectacularly. He stammered, "It's a nice tie." Colin hummed as if amused, but didn't comment. He smoothed the fabric down, fingers lingering just a moment too long at Archie's collar. In the reflection, they looked startlingly real. Colin, tall and composed as always, dark eyes steady. And Archie beside him, bright, warm, and alive, softened by the suit, but still undeniably himself. A power couple, who weren't real. But the mirror didn't know that. Cars flashed by, cameras popped like fireworks, and the charity gala's red carpet gleamed under the press lights. Archie's stomach twisted into anxious knots. "Arm," Colin murmured, offering his elbow. Archie slipped his hand through, trying not to think about how natural it felt. Colin's other hand rested on the small of his back, gently but firmly guiding him forward. Instant heat traveled through Archie's spine. Reporters surged toward them. "Mr. Blackwell, who's your fiancé wearing tonight?" "Archie, look this way. Is the engagement date set?" He thought he'd faint. Colin leaned down, voice low enough to be a secret between them. "You're doing fine." Somehow that helped. They glided inside like they belonged together. And though Archie felt like a mismatched puzzle piece in a world of polished elites, once he started talking to people, he relaxed. He made a couple investors laugh by introducing himself as the accidental fiancé. Long story. He charmed a board member by praising her talk on sustainable tech innovation. He even caught an HR rep smiling when Archie said, "Honestly, I'm just here for the free champagne and to keep Colin from getting into scandals." Colin watched him the entire time. Not in a controlling way, in a softened way. As if he hadn't expected this brightness, this warmth, from the man he'd pulled into a kiss on impulse. Colin nodded politely through conversations, but his gaze kept drifting back to Archie. The way Archie's hands moved when he talked. The way his eyes lit up when he got excited. The little snort laugh he tried to hide behind his champagne glass. And reporters noticed. One whispered to another, "Look how he watches him. Blackwell actually softens." Archie didn't hear it. Colin did, and something in his chest tightened. Needing a break, Archie slipped onto the balcony overlooking the glittering city. The cool night air hit him like salvation. He exhaled shakily, bracing his palms on the railing. "How do people do this?" he whispered to himself. "I look one direction and there's another camera. I blink wrong and someone's taking notes. You ran out here like someone was chasing you. Archie jumped. Colin had followed him, of course. He leaned casually against the railing beside Archie, close enough that their sleeves brushed. The height difference made Archie feel small in the best, worst possible way. You act like you're made for this, Archie muttered, staring at the skyline. Colin let out a quiet breath. I'm not. It's all practiced, expected, required. Archie glanced at him. The city lights reflected in Colin's eyes, turning them softer, more human. Colin's voice dropped, so quiet it almost blended with the wind. I'm exhausted by pretending. Archie's chest squeezed. He looked down and noticed his own hands trembling. Perfect. Exactly what he needed. Visible panic. Colin noticed. Without hesitation, he placed his hand over Archie's. Warm, steady, anchoring. Archie's heart tripped over itself. You're allowed to be overwhelmed, Colin said, tone gentler than Archie had ever heard from him. This isn't your world. I feel like I'm messing everything up, Archie whispered, throat tight. You haven't messed up once, Colin said. The opposite. People love you. Archie swallowed. Do you? Colin's jaw stilled. His fingers tightened slightly, barely a pressure, but enough to send heat curling low in Archie's stomach. He didn't answer, but he didn't let go of Archie's hand either. They returned to the penthouse late that night, exhausted and somewhat buzzed from champagne and social pressure. Archie kicked off his shoes with a dramatic groan. We survived, he declared. We did, Colin echoed, loosening his tie with one hand. The city lights spilled across the living room, catching the edges of their suits. Archie could still feel the phantom warmth of Colin's hand from the balcony. He sat on the couch and flopped backward. Okay, but I need to bring something up. Colin arched a brow. Yes? Well, Archie rubbed his face. Some people online are saying the kiss looked too staged, too perfect. Colin frowned. Perfect? Archie's ears burned. Not perfect, but, choreographed. We had no choreography. I know, but apparently our lips were positioned at an optimal angle or something? I don't know, people on the internet are weird. Colin crossed his arms, skeptical. Your point? Archie's mouth went dry. Maybe we should practice? Silence. Then Colin's gaze darkened, his voice dropped an octave. Practice. Yeah, just to make it look more natural when we have to do it again, publicly. Not for fun or anything. If we're going to practice, Colin said, stepping closer, we do it properly. Archie's breath froze. Come here. Archie stood almost on instinct, heart slamming hard enough to bruise. Colin approached him slowly, deliberately. One hand rose to cradle Archie's jaw, thumb sweeping just under his cheekbone. The other settled warm and firm on his waist. Archie's pulse stumbled. Breathe, Colin murmured. I am breathing, Archie whispered, absolutely not breathing. Colin leaned in, brushing his lips feather-light against Archie's before pressing fully. The first intentional kiss. It started slow, testing, learning. Archie melted like he'd been waiting years, hands grabbing Colin's lapels, pulling him closer. Colin's grip tightened and kiss deepened, lips parting, breaths mixing, warmth spilling between them. A soft, helpless sound escaped Archie's throat. Colin inhaled sharply at the noise. He guided them backward until Archie's back met the wall, his own body following, fully clothed but unmistakably aligned with Archie's. Heat rushed through Archie's veins. Colin's hand slid beneath Archie's shirt, only to the small of his back, skin against skin. Archie shuddered, knees nearly giving out. Colin kissed down his jawline, lips ghosting to the spot just under Archie's ear. Colin, Archie breathed, dizzy. The soft kiss at his pulse point made his eyes roll back for a moment. Colin braced a palm against the wall beside Archie's head, caging him in. Not trapping, containing, protective, consuming. The air between them crackled. Archie arched slightly, overwhelmed and wanting, unsure if he could handle more or if he'd combust. Colin pulled back first. His chest rose and fell steadily, but a storm hid behind his composure. Archie's lips tingled. Colin stepped away with visible restraint, as though dragging himself back into his skin. They ended up on the couch, each holding a glass of water they weren't drinking. They sat close, but not touching. Tension buzzed between them like electricity. Archie's head felt like cotton. So that was educational? Colin exhaled. Yes. Silence stretched, heavy but not uncomfortable. Archie stared at his hands. People get bored of me, or overwhelmed. I'm too much, too chatty, too emotional, too everything. Colin turned toward him fully. Who told you that? Archie laughed weakly. Everyone I've tried to date, Colin's jaw tightened. Then they were fools. Archie blinked, startled. Colin continued, softer. You are not too much. You are vivid. The word wrapped around Archie's ribs, warm and dangerous. He swallowed hard. And you? Archie asked quietly, You don't let people close, do you? Colin didn't flinch. No, everything in my world is transactional. Expected. Conditional. Even this, Archie whispered. Colin looked at him with something impossibly gentle. This feels different. Archie's breath caught. Colin leaned in slowly, deliberately, until his lips brushed the side of Archie's neck. A soft, lingering kiss. A warm exhale against his skin. Archie's entire body jolted. Colin's voice moved against his skin, low and sinful. I think I like you more than I should. Archie froze, breathless, overwhelmed, warm all over. Colin pulled back, eyes steady, expression unguarded for the first time. Archie pressed trembling fingers to the spot where Colin's lips had been. He couldn't speak, didn't need to. The warmth spreading through his chest said enough. Tapper Chapter 4. He's mine. Even if he doesn't know it yet. The Blackwell boardroom was always cold, but today it felt colder. Archie stood just outside the half-open door, holding the revised design mock-ups Colin had asked him to bring. He didn't want to interrupt the meeting, but Colin's assistant had said, Just drop them off. He'll be between calls. So Archie approached, quiet steps on polished marble, and heard voices. One of them was Colin's corporate rival, Victor Marlowe, a senior executive whose smile was always one shade too sharp. The man's voice held the oily confidence of someone who believed himself untouchable. The engagement narrative is clever, Colin, Victor said, but fragile, temporary. Archie froze. Colin's voice followed, calm, measured. The public needed reassurance. The board needed stability, Victor chuckled. And you found yourself a cute little prop to parade around. Archie's stomach dropped. Colin's silence stretched. Victor continued, dripping condescension. Fun for now, a convenient distraction. But what happens when this little arrangement ends? You'll dump the boy back where you found him? I doubt he even understands how harsh this world is. Dump, prop, distraction. Blood roared in Archie's ears. He knew he shouldn't listen, but his feet felt cemented to the floor. Colin finally replied, voice low. You don't know anything about him. Oh, please, Victor scoffed. He's naive, ordinary. Do you think someone like that can survive this company once you're done pretending to care? He'll be disposable, and everyone will see it. Archie couldn't breathe. Colin said something else, something sharper, defensive, but Archie didn't hear it. He was already backing away, eyes stinging. The hallway felt too bright, his hands shaking around the folder. Disposable. The word carved straight through him. He left the designs on a nearby table and fled before anyone could see his face. That evening, the penthouse felt too big, too quiet, too sharp around the edges. Archie kept to himself, curling up on the far end of the couch with his laptop, pretending to work but staring blankly at the screen. Colin came home later than usual. His hair was slightly mussed, his tie loosened, exhaustion lining his perfect features. When he stepped inside and saw Archie sitting stiffly, his brows drew together immediately. You're quiet, Colin said. Archie forced a smile. Just tired. Colin studied him. Did something happen today? Nope. Archie clicked randomly on his laptop. All good. You're avoiding my eyes. Am not. You're also sitting as far away from me as physically possible. Archie scooted half an inch further, proving the point. Colin's jaw tightened. Archie. Seriously, I'm fine. Archie stood abruptly. Just going to shower. Long day. He sidestepped Colin, literally avoided his hand when Colin reached as if to steady him, and something in Colin's eyes flickered with quiet frustration. For 2 days, things grew worse. Archie dodged Colin's touches, stepping out of reach, turning away too quickly, offering flimsy excuses. In the bedroom, he slept at the very edge of the mattress, a good foot of space between them. He woke up before Colin every morning, just so he wouldn't accidentally be near him. Colin didn't push, but he watched. He watched every little retreat, every forced smile, every strained laugh. His frustration simmered beneath the surface, not anger, but a sharp, worried kind of desperation he didn't know how to name. On the third night, after Archie muttered a flimsy good night and practically sprinted to the bed's edge, Colin exhaled slowly. Archie, he said into the dark. Archie's voice was too light, too fake. What happened? Archie laughed. Thin, brittle. Nothing. Seriously. Colin's voice dropped, gentler. You're lying. Archie squeezed his eyes shut. I don't want to do this right now. Colin went silent, not defeated, but determined. and Archie lay awake long after Colin's breathing steadied, feeling broken and confused and painfully foolish. Near midnight, Archie gave up on sleep. He slipped out of bed, padded to the kitchen, and began rummaging for snacks just to distract himself from his spiraling thoughts. The soft pool of warm light made the space feel intimate. Too intimate for his fraying emotions. He had just pulled out bread and peanut butter when a deep voice said quietly behind him, "You're avoiding me." Archie jumped, dropping the spoon. He spun around. Colin stood there in rolled-up sleeves and undone tie, hair slightly messy from running his fingers through it, looking unfairly, painfully attractive and exhausted. But his eyes were sharp and soft all at once. "Tell me what's wrong," Colin said. Archie fumbled for composure. "It's nothing, Archie." Just his name, but said with such steady certainty that Archie felt the last walls he'd tried to build shaking. Archie gripped the counter, knuckles white. "I overheard something, at the office." Colin stilled. "What did you hear?" Archie bit his lip. "Victor Marlowe. He said the engagement was temporary, that I'm a prop, disposable, that you'll toss me aside when this is over." Colin's face went from confusion to disbelief to something almost wounded. Archie laughed bitterly. "He said you were just pretending to care." Archie. And I believed him, Archie finally admitted, voice cracking. Because it made sense. This whole thing is fake. I'm fake. I'm just convenient. Colin stepped forward immediately. Archie stepped back. That hurt Colin more than the words. "Don't," Archie whispered. I can't do this if I'm just some PR shield for you to hide behind." Something inside Colin snapped, not in anger, but in urgency, frustration, fear. His voice rose. "Is that what you think of me?" Archie's breath shook. "I don't know what to think anymore. You think I'd go this far for someone I don't care about?" "It's all business," Archie shouted, tears welling. "Everything in your world is business." "Not this," Colin roared back. Archie's breath hitched at the raw emotion in his voice. Silence crashed between them, thick and trembling. Archie tried to move past him, brushed his shoulder, intent on fleeing before he cried in front of the man who could destroy him with a sentence. But Colin's hand shot out. Not rough, not forceful. He caught Archie's wrist and pulled him back, not to trap but to stop him from breaking. Archie gasped, stumbling into Colin's chest. And suddenly, they were too close. Too warm, too angry, too desperate, their breaths tangled, mouths inches apart. "Archie," Colin whispered, voice hoarse. "Look at me." Archie shook his head, eyes shiny. "Don't," Colin cupped his jaw, all restraint breaking. "I won't let you walk away thinking I don't care." Archie's chest heaved, and then Colin kissed him. Not with the composed control he'd shown before. This kiss was hungry, desperate, devastating. Archie froze, then melted, fingers fisting in Colin's shirt, dragging him closer like he needed him to stay upright. Colin pressed him against the counter, their bodies aligning in a rush of heat. The kiss deepened, raw, aching, full of everything unsaid. Archie's knees weakened as Colin's hand slid under his shirt, palm warm against the bare skin of his waist. Archie let out a soft, broken sound. Colin lifted him, effortless, and set him on the counter, stepping between his legs. The height difference vanished. Archie's breath hitched as their chests pressed together, fully clothed yet impossibly intimate. Colin's mouth trailed from his lips down his neck, open-mouthed, scorching kisses that made Archie's head fall back. His shirt rode up, bunched around his ribs, exposing skin to Colin's wandering hands. Archie's fingers tangled in Colin's hair, tugging, making Colin exhale a quiet groan against his throat. They moved together, breathless, needy, a rhythm of longing and confusion and desire. The thin barrier of fabric did nothing to hide the heat or the trembling urgency of their bodies. Archie whispered, Colin, please." Colin pulled back instantly, chest heaving, eyes burning dark with desire and restraint. He rested his forehead against Archie's and exhaled shakily. "If we keep going," he whispered, voice low and honest, "I won't be able to stop." Archie swallowed hard. "And I will not touch you without being absolutely sure." Archie's breath trembled. His eyes were wet with both arousal and heartbreak. Colin cupped his face gently now, thumbs brushing tears he hadn't realized were falling. "Archie." Archie blinked, and tears spilled over. Colin's tone softened into something unbearably sincere. "I don't want you because of the contract. That was an excuse. I want you because you make me feel human." Archie's breath hitched. "You make this place feel like a home," Colin said quietly. "You make me feel like a person again. And I have been selfish. I've been terrible at explaining anything real. I know that. Archie's hands trembled as he pressed them against Colin's chest. I thought I was nothing to you. Colin wrapped him in his arms, a full-body embrace, one hand in Archie's hair, stroking gently, the other rubbing slow circles on his back, solid, grounding, a green flag in human form. Archie's tears soaked into his shirt, but Colin didn't let go. Not for a second. Eventually, Colin whispered, "Let's go to bed." Not needy, not suggestive, just soft, safe. He helped Archie down from the counter, their fingers brushing, their breaths still uneven. They changed into sleep clothes in silence, comfortable, healing silence. In bed, Archie hesitated only a moment before scooting closer. Colin opened his arms without a word. Archie curled into him, head tucked under Colin's chin, legs tangled with his. Colin held him, firm, warm, protective. No sex, no pressure, just intimacy, just trust, rebuilding itself in the dark. They fell asleep like that, hearts beating in the same quiet rhythm. Chapter 5. The contract ends, unless we don't want it to. The company auditorium buzzed with anticipation long before Colin and Archie arrived. Rows of board members, investors, senior executives, and a small but ravenous crowd of reporters filled the space. Cameras were positioned along the back, red lights blinking like dozens of watchful eyes. The PR director stood near the podium, clutching a stack of prepared statements. The script Colin was supposed to follow, but Colin Blackwell had no intention of reading it. Archie stood beside him backstage, fingers nervously twisting together. He was dressed in a soft dove-gray suit Colin had chosen, one that made him look both polished and heartbreakingly approachable. Colin reached out, gently taking Archie's hand, lacing their fingers. Archie glanced up, startled. Colin held his gaze. "It's okay," Colin murmured. "I'm here." Archie nodded, but his heart was a meteor crashing through his ribcage. A stagehand gestured. "Mr. Blackwell, we're ready." They stepped out together. A flash of cameras greeted them, lighting the stage like a lightning storm. Gasps rippled through the audience, not at Colin, but at their hands. Still linked. Still steady. Archie swallowed hard. He didn't let go. Colin approached the podium. The PR director waited 2 feet away, tense, ready to intervene. Colin didn't look at her. He looked at the crowd. "I appreciate you all coming," he began, voice strong and steady. "Today we're here to clarify rumors about my personal life." Archie braced himself. Here it comes. The mutual breakup, the polite lie, the PR conclusion. But Colin continued. "The narrative around my engagement has been loud." A faint, wry smile ghosted his lips. "I've made mistakes in how I've handled my public image. I've allowed misunderstandings to flourish, and I take responsibility for that." Reporters scribbled furiously. Colin's grip on Archie's hand tightened. "But one thing I will not allow," Colin said, voice warming, "is for the world to misunderstand the person standing beside me." Archie's breath caught. Colin turned slightly, gaze sweeping toward him, softened, unguarded, proud. "Archie entered my life by accident," he said, "at a moment when my world was collapsing." Archie's vision blurred, not from sadness, from disbelief. And instead of walking away, he stood beside me. He grounded me, challenged me, reminded me what it means to be human. Someone in the audience murmured, "Oh my God." Colin faced the room fully again. "The engagement contract," he paused deliberately, "ends today." Archie's heart plummeted. Then Colin finished. "Because there is no contract between us anymore." A ripple of confusion, then clarity. "I'm not engaged for PR," Colin said, voice unwavering. "I'm with Archie because I choose him." The room erupted. Reporters shouted questions. When did it become real? "How long have you been dating?" "Colin, are you confirming a genuine relationship?" Cameras flashed like strobe lights. Archie stared up at Colin, stunned, air punched from his lungs. Colin looked down at him with eyes that said one thing. "It's real. It's all real." Backstage, the noise of the press softened to a distant hum. Archie and Colin stood facing each other, the adrenaline buzzing between them like static. "Did you mean that?" Archie whispered, voice unsteady. Or was that another narrative? Colin cupped his face with both hands, thumbs brushing gently under his eyes, so tender Archie almost broke right there. "There is no narrative," Colin said. "There's you." Archie swallowed, hard. "I don't want a contract," Colin continued softly. "I don't want an NDA. I don't want distance." He leaned closer. "There is nothing in this company, nothing in this world, that can make me feel the way I do when you're in the room." Archie's chest ached. Colin lowered his forehead against his. "No pretending," Colin whispered. Not anymore. Archie let out a shaking breath, eyes closing. He felt Colin's thumb sweep his cheek again. No hurry, no pressure, just presence. Honest, aching presence. They barely spoke on the way home, but the silence wasn't empty. It was heavy with everything unsaid, everything about to break free. When they stepped into the penthouse, the city lights spilled across them, painting the room in gold and shadow. Archie set his coat down with trembling hands. Colin approached him slowly, as though afraid Archie might spook. "I've never been good at this," Colin said quietly. "Relationships, feelings, trust. I'm afraid I'll mess it up." Archie turned to him. Colin continued, voice lower, rawer. "I'm afraid of being used, afraid of giving too much, afraid of losing everything." Archie's heart squeezed painfully. He'd never heard Colin sound anything less than invincible. "But then you started laughing in my kitchen," Colin said, a faint smile touching his lips at the memory. "And for the first time in years, I wanted something. Not for PR. Not for stability. Just for me." Archie's eyes stung. Colin stepped closer. "And what about you?" he asked softly. "When did it become real?" Archie inhaled shakily. "Somewhere between you teaching me how to hold your hand and you holding me while I cried," he whispered. "And every minute after that." Their breaths mingled. Their foreheads touched. It didn't matter who moved first. Their lips met in a slow, reverent kiss that deepened with every second, warm, patient, utterly consumed with feeling. Archie's fingers curled into Colin's shirt. Colin's hands slid around his waist. They kissed until the world dissolved. Colin's hands were steady but gentle as he trailed them up Archie's back, fingertips brushing warm skin beneath the hem of his shirt. Archie gasped softly. Colin pulled back just enough to see him, eyes dark with emotion. "I don't want a pretend fiancé," he murmured. "I want you in my bed because you choose me." Archie's lips parted. A heartbeat passed. Another. "Then take me," he whispered. Colin kissed him again, deep, grateful, sweet. They moved together across the room, half toward the bedroom. The city lights followed them like stars. Colin's fingers slid under Archie's shirt, lifting it slowly, reverently. The fabric skimmed over Archie's skin, leaving goosebumps in its wake. Archie's hands trembled as he began unbuttoning Colin's shirt, marveling at each inch of revealed skin, each line of muscle. "You can stop me anytime," Colin murmured, breath brushing Archie's ear. "I don't want to stop," Archie whispered, voice uneven. "I want you." Clothes slipped away. Kisses moved from lips to shoulders to chest. Archie's breath hitched as Colin's mouth traced slow, heated paths across his skin. Fingers tangled in hair. Sheets rustled. Their bodies pressed together, warm and real and wanting. The world outside blurred into a wash of light and sound as they fell into the bed together, limbs intertwining. Colin's voice whispered Archie's name like a vow. The city gleamed beyond the windows, silent witness to their first real night together. Then the scene softened, fading into warm shadows, gentle breath, and the quiet certainty of two people choosing each other without hesitation. The night grew soft and breathless as they finally allowed themselves to be everything they'd been pretending not to be. Archie woke up wrapped in unfamiliar warmth. Colin's shirt, crisp, oversized, hung on him like a dress, the hem brushing his thighs. His hair was a mess. His body felt pleasantly heavy, boneless, marked by soft echoes of the night before. He padded into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes, and froze. Colin, CEO of Blackwell Innovations, destroyer of boardrooms, was wearing pajama pants, an apron, and bedhead. He was also glaring at a frying pan as if personally offended by it. Archie stared. Are you cooking?" "I'm attempting to." Colin poked a pancake that was definitely burnt on one side. "This is not a skill I possess." Archie laughed, bright, unrestrained. "You look ridiculous." Colin shot him a dry look. "I'm aware." Archie stepped closer, drawn like gravity. "But kind of adorable." Colin's ear twitched pink. "Come here," he murmured. Archie did, bare feet soft on the warm tile. Colin slipped behind him without hesitation, arms circling Archie's waist from behind. He rested his chin lightly on Archie's shoulder, then pressed a soft kiss to the side of his neck. Archie squeaked, a tiny, helpless sound, and turned bright red. Colin smirked against his skin. "You're easy to fluster. You're doing that on purpose." "Of course." Archie leaned back against him, breath warm, heart full. He murmured before he could stop himself, "If this is what a fake engagement did to us." Colin turned him around gently, guiding Archie's face up with 2 fingers. Then he kissed him. Slow, sure, and unhurried. When he finally pulled back, his voice was a soft promise. "Imagine the real one." Archie's smile was radiant, brilliant enough to outshine the sunrise spilling through the windows, and in Colin's arms, domestic, chosen, safe, Archie finally felt at home.